Welcome to the Women in Leadership Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Heather. And together we are working to connect women in leadership and business, empowering each other, improving the health and wellness of our community, body, soul, and mind, connecting to the heart and soul of who we are and what we do. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
Ooh, we're back with the amazing body wisdom nutrition specialist, Joanne Edinberg, to talk some more about stress eating and holidays and how that affects us.
Joanne, if somebody doesn't know you, would you go ahead and introduce yourself and a little bit about your business?
Sure. I'm Joanne Edinberg, and I'm the founder of Body Wisdom Nutrition, and I'm an eating psychology coach. So I do one-on-one coaching with women to help them relax from the stress around food, weight, and body image. And I'm on a mission to help women end the quest for the perfect diet, perfect body, so that we can spend our time and energy doing what truly nourishes us. So
I don't know about you ladies, but this is like the perfect time to talk about food psychology. Like it's like we got holiday parties and cookie exchanges and you know, the treats are everywhere. It's just the season, right?
It's the season of food and festivities and food and more food. And everybody brings food everywhere.
And we had a great talk right before Thanksgiving about food and you know, being mindful. So let's dig a little deeper about the stress of the holidays. And
yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, I mean, I think like on the one hand, it's supposed to be this really fun, happy time, and yet for so many of us, it is really stressful in a lot of ways, especially if we have challenges around food and eating. And so I think, you know, just kind of shifting the mindset that just knowing that that's the case, right? This can be a challenging time. It can be a challenging time if, you know, we've lost people in our lives. You know, holidays tend to bring that up because we have a lot of memories of being with those people.
Yeah.
And we miss them.
Yeah.
And it's okay to miss them. I
That's
mean,
right.
that's part of grief, right? And so I think that we need to remember during this busy time to give ourselves some time
For us. That self-care piece is vital.
Yes.
Like, and making sure we're processing.
Yeah.
That's when I get unmindful of what I'm eating.
Yeah, I love that. You know, just taking, like, scheduling time for yourself in the day to just be with yourself, and however that looks for you. You know, some people like to journal, some people like to just meditate or just sit and be quiet. But just being in touch with how we're feeling, because there are a lot of feelings that come up, especially during this time. And, you know, I think that that's the root of, you know, what some people call emotional eating.
Yeah.
Right. If you think about it, emotional eating is basically eating our emotions. That's what we're doing. And it makes sense. Like, there's good reasons why we did it in the past. Good strategy for dealing with some of the situations we might have been in when we were younger. So having some grace and acceptance around that. And also just paying attention. Like, it's just a reminder. It's like, oh, interesting. Like, I tend to eat more during this time of the year. Or I eat more sugar than I'm used to. And it kind of sets me into this, you know, this pattern. Just use that as an opportunity to really take a look at it. Not be like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this again. You know, what's wrong with me? Rather, oh, there must be something going on, like something that's making me, you know, shift into these old habits that
that hurt my heart. Like, if someone's saying what's wrong with me, let's talk, right? Please reach out to someone. Okay. I don't want anybody in that spiral. Like, especially using the 4 agreements. We talk a lot about the tools. We have PTSD resources. There's lots of resources on our website. Don't be afraid to reach out to somebody. Like, seriously, if these are the thoughts you're having, you're stuck in a loop in your head, you're not alone. Okay. You're not alone. These 3 ladies right here and so many more in our community are willing to talk and be a friend, a listening ear. So you're really not alone. And especially as women, we tend to take it on and keep taking it on, and we're empty if we're just keep going. So when we talk about taking that time, that's because these are the tools we've used so that we can keep showing up here and sharing and being here for you. We take the time, we take the meditation time or the journaling time, and every day is a little different.
And we definitely feel the effects if we are not doing our self-care.
Yeah.
So, again, self-care is really, really important, and it looks different for everybody. And, self-care around how we feel about ourselves and how we feed ourselves is just as important.
Yeah, that's really good points. Glad you brought that up. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to, emotional eating, like we were talking about, I think so many of us never really learned how to deal with our emotions in a healthy way, right? And so a lot of times emotional eating or other habits that we might have are just our way of stuffing our emotions because we didn't learn to express them in a healthy way, and we were often taught that it was not okay to express our emotions, especially quote unquote negative emotions, anger, grief, sadness, anxiety, frustration. A lot of us were shut down when we tried to express those kinds of things when we were really young. So just to protect ourselves, we developed strategies for not feeling that shame that I think so many of us feel just when we actually even have an emotion. We just
Right.
go right into that feeling that we had when we were little. So of course it makes sense to try to comfort ourselves in whatever way, we've learned to do that. And food, it actually is meant to be comforting. So it's a good strategy in a lot of ways. But if it's the only way that we comfort ourselves, then it's just an opportunity to think about, okay, what else can I do to make myself feel better? And actually getting in touch with your emotions and being able to express them either to, someone that you feel safe and comfortable with, whether it's a friend or a professional, that's really important because, stuffing our emotions is the root of a lot of issues, a lot of health issues, a lot of eating issues. And again, it makes total sense. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with any of us for doing those things.
Right.
But just being aware of that and getting, like I think we talked about last time, getting really present when we're eating. Like, well, how am I feeling right now? Like literally, what are the sensations, the physical sensations in my body? Can really clue you in. Like maybe I am really feeling anxious about something. Maybe I am feeling a lot of grief about these people in my life that aren't here now. Or maybe it's something that's going on in your life that is challenging. So
holidays are holidays are a time where a lot of this like past trauma tends to resurface, and so being aware of that and being aware of how you feel in general and how you react to how you're feeling, there's all kinds of different ways to and tools that we use to combat those feelings, or to even just taking that step back and being aware of it is like breakthrough. Okay, because the first is awareness. Well, you don't know how to fix a problem if you're not aware it's there.
Right. If
Right.
you're oblivious.
You're
Yeah.
oblivious. You don't see the
Mhm.
problem. It's not a problem until you are aware that it's a problem. And so how being aware of how we feel this time of year, maybe of what things come up for us, and then how we react to that, as you know, especially when it comes to food, because let's be honest, this time of year, there's food
Mhm.
everywhere. But yeah, I like the idea of using awareness as a tool to really look at how you're eating and how you're feeling, and checking in with yourself as a self-care tool.
Mm,
Mhm.
right.
Yeah. And just having a lot of compassion for
Mhm.
whatever the situation is.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
because we've all been through things that life has brought us.
Yes.
Life is not easy for anybody, really. You know, everybody has their own set of challenges that they face. But, you know, being aware of what those look like and how that affects you today, I think is really important too.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. The holidays really do bring all that stuff up for sure. There's so much there.
So when you hear a song that has joy in it, or you hear the songs that are, saying the words Mary, like Mary being happy and joyful and these things, it's a choice, right?
Mhm.
We can choose to be in that grace and that zone of comfort and calm, or we can choose to be bahumbuggy, stressed out,
Mhm.
so it's a choice. So I love that we have the power to decide when we're aware of things,
Mm-hmm.
and slowly making changes over the years, right? Like deciding, what you want. So, a few years ago, I decided I was going to be careful about what TV shows I was watching during this time of the year,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
certain ones will make me sad that are supposed to be happy, and certain ones, if I'm watching something that has a like a dark storyline to it or something, that might contribute to the season of sadness, right? Like, so
Mhm.
being aware of
Mhm.
that going in, that my mindset in general needs to be on top of things, because there's additional challenges.
Well,
during the season.
that's feeding yourself in a different way.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
the information feeding yourself during
Right.
that time, right? Because it's dark outside all the time. Okay, that does not help our vitamin D deficiency, especially here in the Pacific Northwest. It's a
Right.
thing. You know,
Sure.
the Seattle sad
Mhm.
is a
Mhm.
thing. And just taking better care of ourselves through the winter so that we bloom fully in the spring with the spring energy and things like that.
I like
It's
that
super fun.
analogy.
You like to bloom?
Yeah, I like blooming. It
I
feels
like
so
that
good to
too.
bloom. So let's like to
Great.
nestle in and take care of our seeds, you guys.
Mhm. I love it. I also want to go back to what you said, Heather, because I think it also is important to experience the sadness, for example.
Yeah.
Um, and feelings are interesting because they're just energy that's trying to flow through our body when we're having a feeling. And if you can actually let it flow and just have it's what it needs to do, it just goes away, but we're so scared of it that we're not, we try to push it away. We try to pretend that we don't have those feelings. So I think that that's important to remember. Yes, obviously choose the things that are going to put us in that happier frame of mind. And if we're just really down in the dumps and stuck, sometimes just expressing those feelings is what's going to actually help us get out of it, because it's like those holding on to those feelings of sadness, anger, frustration, anxiety, depressed, feeling depressed or
And
whatever.
it feels lonely.
Yeah.
So you tend to not talk about it
Right.
because it already feels lonely. So
Right.
you put yourself in that perpetual loneliness.
Right.
So
Yeah. And we want to avoid it because it doesn't
Yeah.
feel good. But if we
Right.
can actually be with it, whether by ourselves or with someone that we're comfortable expressing those kinds of feelings with. I don't know if you've experienced that, but like for me, like when I have a good cry, like sometimes I actually need a really
It's
sad
very
movie.
cathartic.
Yeah, I need the sad movie to get the tears out because then
I-
you're holding on to them and holding on to them, and they actually just need to express themselves.
I was super grateful because I have gone through some extreme depression and I had all of these things happen in life and things that I'm coming around to the other side where I can watch a sad movie and cry, feel the emotions and move out of it. Because you get fearful that you're going to get stuck in there again.
Yeah.
Because I
right.
don't like those days. I don't want to go back to those days where I'm crying uncontrollably and I can't stop, like, because it just has got to come out, right? So, like, to be able to know that you can keep going, keep doing the things, because eventually you'll get to the point where you can cry for a movie again. Like, so.
One of the ways that I like to process emotions is doing yoga. I put my earbuds in, I turn my music up, and I just go with the flow. And I have processed a lot of emotions and cried a lot on my mat. My husband's favorite way to process emotions is he'll watch like sad puppy movies on YouTube that
So
make him
sweet.
cry.
Right.
And then he's good for a little bit, but being able to find a way to process those emotions, and it could look different for everybody, is really, it's good, it's healthy. I remember a few years ago when my friend Sally was diagnosed with cancer, I was working out at a local gym and running on the treadmill, right? And I just was like running and like bawling, like straight up ugly crying
In
at the gym in
public.
public. People were like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm good, sort of.
I'm working it out.
Working it out. It's
Yeah.
fine. Just sometimes you just have to let it out.
Yeah.
And for some people, you how you process emotions is with food, and or sometimes that's how you process emotions with food, because let's be honest, I am a sugarholic when I'm feeling sick, right? Yeah, it's like I want a little bit of sweetness in my life because it's like depressing, and so I eat the sweetness instead of do something else. But I am
think that's good.
fully aware of that with myself. And then going into the holidays, it'll be really interesting to see what comes up around food and family and all that stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a great point, though. Like the sweetness, I think that a lot of times we don't have a lot of sweetness in our lives, right? And we do turn to sugar. I mean, it's a great metaphor, but I think
I'm like,
true.
dang.
Yeah.
It's like nail, hammer, head. Oh my goodness.
And again, having that compassion for ourselves, that's true. And maybe we learned also at an early age, to stuff our emotions with sweets, not just food, but sweets in particular. Right. So there's that association there.
Well, oh, you're sad. Let me give you a sucker.
Exactly. Ice cream.
Cookies.
Yep.
Oh, grandma sees you're sad. Here's some cookies. Right. It's a thing. It's like we want to comfort our children or grandchildren or whatever, or nieces, nephews, whoever. What do? We
It's a form of caring and
Yeah.
love for someone. Like,
uh
I want you to feel better and have a good mood and be
It's food.
uplifted. And wow.
Mhm.
People have
Yeah.
food trains or whatever when other people go to the hospital and are sick or pass away. What do you bring? Food. You
Mhm.
know,
Wow.
yeah, food is wrapped around all this emotional stuff. So intertwined.
And
Totally.
historically, food is where we gathered
Mhm.
because we had to gather around the fire to cook
Mhm.
our food. So all of that
Mhm.
is community. That's
Mhm.
where, like, it is the basis of our community is being fed as a community. I know
Mhm.
that we don't have to gather around food. And I remember that was a big thing. Let's not just gather to eat. And so we would make a point to like gather to go for a walk, and my mom would always bring food. I was like, but she's the one who was like, we can have a gathering that isn't around food.
And then she'd
Yeah.
bring
And then
food.
she brings out to just process that right now in this moment.
Yeah.
Okay. So, just being aware that, we've all tried things and having that awareness and grace,
Mhm.
For ourselves.
Yeah. And seeing these holiday gatherings as a place of connection and meeting all sorts of needs, not just food, but
Yeah,
just
Social needs, emotional needs.
take
absolutely.
away the need to eat.
Right.
Focusing on that all of these other needs are getting met.
Yes.
Because
Oh
we
my
use
gosh.
food as a way to meet our needs. It's something that's
Mhm.
there every day. So it's a pretty easy one. Away. So
Oh my gosh. Thank you
Uh,
so much, Joanne.
Always amazing. Like I have that wraps it up beautifully. I have absolutely nothing to add to that. Um, and it's just always a joy and a pleasure to talk with you about food and our mindset around food and how we think about food and how that affects us and our emotions. Um, it's just always awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
yeah, I really appreciated being here. And if anyone wants to hear more about my programs and what I do, they can get in touch with me via my website. It's joanneedinberg.com. I'm sure you put it.
Yep, we'll have the links
everything will be
in
dropped
the
down.
description.
But
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
it's definitely my passion, and I love talking about this stuff and
Mhm.
shifting that mindset,
Mhm.
to feel just that curiosity and understanding about ourselves and not being so judgmental. There's just too much of that.
Right.
Right.
And the self-judgment, and then learning to trust yourself, and then trusting
Mm.
yourself with food. Like, there's so
Mhm.
much that you do in your programs. It's so amazing. So definitely, if you are liking this conversation and you want to dig deeper for yourself, Joanne is your gal.
Right.
Right.
Dig in deeper with Joanne and dig in deeper with your families this holiday season and just really enjoy your time together.
Yes.
Thank you again, Joanne, for joining us. We love you all, and we'll see you next time. Namaste.
Namaste.
So we are Sue and Greta, or our trail names are Lilo and Stitch, and we are hiking the whole Appalachian Trail from Maine to Georgia, so 2,194.3 miles. And we're doing it to raise $50,000 or more
Yes.
for Parkinson's disease research.
Yeah, through the Michael J. Fox Foundation. And we are doing it all in honor of my dad, her husband, who was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease back in 2010. So and we all know so many people who are diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and we are trying to do our small part in the world of Parkinson's disease to find a cure.
Thank you for joining us today on the Women in Leadership Body, Soul, Mind, and Business podcast. Please download the podcast on your favorite podcast player. We love you, and we will see you next time. Namaste.